Fishing is fun, but hooking is the only way. We're gonna show you how to catch some fish today.
So hey guys, this report's for October 19th. But first I want to tell you a little bit about myself. I've been in the fishing industry for, about 30 years. I get a lot of my info from guides, friends, customers, and I'm on the water 3 or 4 times a week. So my reports are pretty current, so you can listen to them on Wednesday and go out on the weekend and have fun. So I put out 2 videos a week. On Monday, I do a teaching video, actually, how to do different techniques. And then on Wednesday, I do the reports. So let's get on with this report. So it's going on really hot right now. It's salt water. Bluefin off past the Farallon Islands. We had a group of guys go out there. Friends of mine went out there this last weekend and they hooked quite a few. So the bluefin, it looks really good right now. Just watch your currents, go on the internet, see where that warm water temperature is. But they've been catching a lot of them. And these guys are throwing the Mad Max. It's actually made by Rapala. Looks like an overgrown rattle trap, and they go 17 knots. So they're pulling that lure hella fast. And they said when they get a hit, the rod stays in the rod holder in the boat and you just crank. You can't lift the rod holder out of there. Fort Bragg, there's still some albacore there. They're getting big-eyed tuna, dorado, they're getting all kinds of things, but watch that warm water current. And then around here locally, closer, the Farallon Islands, Bodega Bay, the rock fishing is just off the hook. This is fall. The lingcod and a lot of the other fish come in shallow, so a lot of those fish are being caught in 30 to 60 feet of water. A lot of big ones. If you look at a lot of these charter guys, they're going out limiting the boat, and the fish are averaging 10 to 30 pounds. There's just a lot of big lingcod in the system now. They're up shallow. They're catching a lot of them on iron, and they're using a lot of swim baits, about 5 to 7 inch, on like a 16th ounce jig head. Drop it to the bottom and jig it. Or you're gonna catch a lot of them on hitchhiker. So like if you hook a little rockfish and you feel something hang onto it, don't set it, just real slow and bring it up and you can net it or gaff them. But the rock fishing is just crazy right now. Halibut fishing is still pretty decent. The North Bar has been actually still pretty good. Inside the bay, they're catching a lot of them. You just gotta go through a lot because you'll catch a lot of small ones too. The salmon scene's kind of slowing down a little bit out in the ocean. The river's kind of slow. There's people catching a few here and there. But that big school that was out in the ocean, when the ocean season opened, and guys, we were getting reports that it's never been that good in 30 years. Where'd those fish go? It's just a big thing right now. In another month, they're gonna know for sure when they start getting up to the hatchery and see how many of them fish return. But our conditions, our water in the river has been 75 degrees, for the last month. It's starting to cool down a little bit now. They're starting to catch a few, and your diehard guys are out there, they're still catching them. They're pulling Brad's cut plugs behind that 11-inch Dodger in the river. Some guys are still catching them on Silvertrons and quickfish. The quickfish, you got to put a wrap on it. And just make sure you guys troll with the current. You'll have a lot more success trolling with the current. But the fishing is kind of slow. Just listening to the guys tell me it's been kind of slow. We can't figure out where in the heck those fish are. And who knows? We'll know in another month for sure. Other things happening around the striper season. Striper fishing's been pretty decent. It's just whether you could get out there. I tried to go back out last week. Trees were just bent down, so I didn't want to make that long run because it's just so rough and I didn't feel like getting all wet. But the week before, we were out there catching them in 2 feet of water, on top water, caught some nice fish. Got one over 22 pounds, had another decent one on, and caught a lot on 5-inch swim baits in 2 feet of water. So it's time, and especially now the weather's cooled. I was out the other day, the water temperature is in the 68, 66. So it's dropping. It's definitely falling. So, you know, the stripers will come in full bore right now, and hopefully we get a decent run of salmon before the season ends. You crappie hunters, you know, I went out just the other day looking for some crappie. We caught some, but they're just not in yet. The water's still a little bit warmer. It's 68 degrees. I like it when it gets down into the 58 to 62. So we probably got a couple more weeks, or hopefully a rain and some cold weather comes. But get ready, because I'll tell you when they're here. What you got?
Looking around, got these crappies, and got him on a crappie jig.
What is it? Can't hardly see it.
5-pound black bass.
Yeah, right. See, folks, now you know how big our fish really are.
Well, Alan said it was, to him it was 10.
Yeah. There's a lot of salmon in our system. I was out the other day. I was actually fishing for bass and stripers, and I caught a salmon. This is probably a little over 20-pound female. So to me, there's always been some fish that get lost, disoriented. They just make the wrong turn. And then I'm seeing them rolling a lot of times when I'm bass fishing or stripers, and the sloughs off the Macaulay. I see them boiling on the top. I actually see them lurch on the surface. And you can catch them. You know, there's days when they're rolling all over the place. You could catch them on flying seas. I've caught them on rattle traps. I caught them on jerk baits. The other day I caught it on a 5-inch swim bait. So they'll hit. You know, they just hit out of meanness. So you can catch them. There's a bunch of fish. I just hope that, you know, they show up in the river, temperatures drop, and then guys start catching them. But the end is next month, what they get up at the hatchery is going to be the telltale. Some of the local lakes around here, well, actually go back down the delta. The bass fishing, the water temperatures are dropping. We were down there the other day, and, you know, I've been on an excellent flipping and punch bite, and we went out the other day, perfect tide. I thought I was going to slaughter them, and nada. I mean, the first 2 spots I didn't get bit. So I changed up, and that's one of the things, you know, when you're fishing, if something's kicking you in the butt, telling you go try something else, you need to do it. Don't just keep doing what you think that you did in the past and it works. So I picked up a spinnerbait, went out to the grass with the current, and started nailing them. We caught quite a few. We caught some nice fish. We had some accidents where the spinner got broke in half, and, you know, friends of mine like Denise started crying because she lost one about 5, but it was only 3. So, you know, there's a lot. You just have to move around. The bass, all fish in the fall turn on because they know winter's coming because of the temperatures and because of the days that are getting short, and they want to feed and fatten up before winter comes, where then they don't eat, maybe not even eat once a week. So they're feeding like crazy now. You just have to adapt to what they're feeding on. So the other day, you know, like I said, they were in the grass, so they're feeding on shad in the current rather than when I was catching them the week before, pitching in the trees with crawdad baits. So the bass fishing is really good. In the lakes, it's really good. As far as some of the bass fishing right now at Berryessa, at Folsom, you know, this time of the year in the fall, you're always going to see a spoon in my hand. So, you know, I have a video coming out this last Monday. You ought to check it out because I could, this time of the year, I could leave all my rods home and just have spoons with me. That's how confident I am. So bass fishing is actually really good. Trout fishing, if you want to go trout fishing and you want to hang around here, the best place to go is Pardee. Pardee has started dumping trout in for the last 3 weeks. So every Friday they dump them. A friend of mine was there last Friday. He called me and goes, "Hey, where should I trow?" I told him just go right outside the buoys. Well, when he got there, he called me and said, the truck's dumping the trout right now. I said, well, leave your boat on the trailer, get your rod, walk down there, wait till the truck pulls out and just start catching them. So Fridays they do their dumping, you know, the trout at Pardee. Comanche said they'll start planting once the water temperature drops below 70, and it should hit there this week, hopefully. You can call up there and ask them. They'll tell you at the gate whether they did any planting. Sierra Lakes, you could go up there and catch them anywhere. Just make sure that, you know, you could get in. Some of the places I've heard are still closed. They won't let you go in there. So just check on it before you head up there. So guys, my tackle tip for this week is the fall. So especially if you're a bass fisherman, the fall is the time to pick up your spoons. And a lot of guys are asking me, why would you pick up a spoon in the fall? Well, shad in our lakes, especially the threadfin shad, they spawn in the fall. And what happens is they group up in big balls. They move up in like a herd of them. And what they'll do is they'll head up into the lake's main creek channels, and the bass and trout and catfish and every other kind of fish follow them because it's just a food chain. So pick up that spoon and head up there and use your graph. And one of the important things is watch for birds, because those birds, those grebes and mergansers, they're feeding on that school bait too. They could see down a lot further than we can. So I use the birds, then I go graph, then when I see them, I pick the spoon up and I start catching them. Watch the video because I show the different techniques of how to spoon. Sometimes I vertical, sometimes I cast, sometimes I flip-flop, sometimes I drag. So watch the video and you'll get some tips and hopefully you can go out there and catch them. So guys, keep an eye open next week. I'm coming out with a video where I show you how to spoon at Pyramid Lake. That is one awesome lake. I have friends been trying to get me to go there for 15 years and I kept saying, no, I don't want to go trout fishing. Well, finally I made that decision, went up there, brought up some tackle that I use for salmon, and because I heard they were big, and we got onto a spoon bite. But those shad are moving down, they're starting on the south end, they'll start heading north. They're in big balls of bait. We saw massive balls of bait, and we did everything from flutter spoons, from flip-flopping, from ripping, doing everything with that spoon.
All right, what do you have to say about this one?
This one is a chubster. Look at him.
And we put a lot of fish in the boat. You couldn't catch that many fish trolling. You possibly couldn't. There's not enough hours in a day. We caught so many fish, and we also had 2 over 20 pounds. It was not too shabby for a trout. So watch that video. I got one coming out next week, and then the following week I hope to have one coming out on how I do it. Hope you like these videos. Please hit the subscribe button because it'll help the channel out a lot. If you look on the bottom, if you want to leave me a comment, click it, and I'll usually get back to you within 2 or 3 days. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next week.
Fishing is fun, but hooking is the only way. We're gonna show you how to catch some fish today.